Hello, at last we return for the highly anticipated episode 2 of Steph J. Millz' Guide to Camille. I know it's been a while since I last made my first episode. A lot of people have been asking me, when am I gonna make the next one? I kind of procrastinated a bit on it, but I was like, you know what? It's time to give the people what they want. If anybody out there is really trying to learn Camille, please be sure to stay tuned with these guides that I'm making, because I am trying my very best to help those understand her better and how to play better and how to climb better and such things like that. So the first episode I gave a little information about myself. We talked about, I believe it was her lore. We talked a little bit about who Camille was. We talked a bit about her abilities too, and I also talked about my rune choices. Now in this episode, we will be going very, very in depth on a lot of things, such as we will be talking about mechanics. We will be talking about her mechanics, what she's capable of, tips and tricks that you should take notice of. We will also be talking about item builds, core items, your early items, your core items, such things like that. And we will also be talking about her matchup difficulties. Matchup difficulties is going to be very, very in-depth and very detailed. I hope you guys can follow along with me, because it's going to be a lot that we talk about this episode. All right, I put a lot of work into making this guide for you guys, man. This guide is probably going to top maybe it's going to top the last episode, and it's going to maybe top even the future episode that I make. But trust me, this episode is going to touch on a lot of things. It's going to be very detailed. It's going to seem like it's a lot of information, but just bear with me, all right? I'm going to walk you through everything, okay? So without further ado, we're going to go to the practice tool, because we're going to talk a little bit. This is where we're going to showcase her abilities, all right? But before we do that though, however, let's do a little ability overview on what Camille has, okay? I'm gonna give a little key pointers on her ability, so take note of this stuff, alright? Okay, so as you know, her passive, adaptive defenses. These are some things you should take notice of, alright? Shield is based off the last type of damage taken, whether if it's physical or magic, okay? Shield also scales with 20% of her max HP. So more HP, bigger the shield. Pretty straightforward, right? Cooldown is based on level, which 16, 13 to 10 seconds. This ability is extremely potent in trades, fights, and can save your life. So be sure to pay attention to when this passive is coming up. Anytime you initiate any trades on people, it's very, very recommended that you only trade when this passive is up, or you could actually run the risk of trading when it's about to come up. So you can go in, initiate a trade, and before they can even do anything, your shield will come up and it will migrate their damage. Okay, so then we move on to her next ability, Precision Protocol. This is her Q. This ability resets her auto attack. It increases her auto attack range by 50. This deals bonus damage, which scales up to 40% AD per rank. It goes up to 40% AD at max rank. And it grants bonus movement speed, which is up to 40% at max rank. Now, version 2 of this ability. Oh my gosh, this is my favorite part about it. Waiting 1.5 seconds after you cast the first version, it doubles the damage of the original. You will hear the charge up sound, and then boom, you press it again, and the damage, which goes from 40 up to 100% based off level, is converted into true damage. True damage. 100% of the damage is converted to true damage. You gotta be kidding me, man. That can't be OP, man. The damage is also mixed, because you're still dealing bonus damage on top of the true damage that you're dealing. This also resets your auto attack. It costs no mana to recast, and this glorious window of opportunity lasts for 3.5 seconds. So please take smooth advantage of what this ability can do, because trust me, you will love it, especially in late game. That is your one-shotting tool. Alright, now the next ability, Tactical Sweep. This is a strong engage and disengage tool. It's a strong poke, has 80% decaying slow, heals for bonus damage when hit with the outer cone. The outer damage, of course, goes up to 8% of the target's maximum health. It also increases by 3.3% every 100 bonus AD. So if you essentially stack on AD, it will essentially increase its damage. This is actually really good for poking. This is really good for harassing, and it's good for zoning. Okay, so but this ability does not match to what it originally was when Camille was first released. When Camille was first released, the sad part about that is that I never tried Camille when she was post released, but from what I've heard, that ability was the most broken ability possibly in the game because of the damage and the healing. Also, if you combined it with Arcane Comet, you could literally dominate, I believe it was almost any lane by simply just poking them down with that and just healing so much from it. So this ability really got nerfed to where it's just a utility tool now for just the slow and also disengaging. However, you could use this ability very, very offensively. I use it in certain cases. You'll see me max it just to maximize my poke damage in the lane. If I know I'm gonna have a hard time trading with somebody and I want to keep them poked or keep them zoned and such things. So this ability does have its his perks, you know. So don't overlook this ability. All right. Next one is hook shot. This is the bread and butter to her. Only usable to terrain. If timed right, can pull through all crowd control. As I told you before in the first episode, if you were to get hit by a stun or a root and you were able to cast your hook shot before it hits you, then the moment your hook shot lands on a wall, if you're in the middle of a stun or in the middle of a root or even a suppress or anything, you will still get pulled. The stun will still last though. The crowd control will still last, but you will still get pulled away from whatever it was that stunned you. You know what I'm saying? It did that. So very, very, you have to really time that right. It's very, very useful. Very, very it is a very, very key ability. It's a very key ability to Camille's mobility as well. It's your only escape tool, and it counts as a skill shot. So actually, if a Yasuo was the wind wall, the wall that you're trying to hook shot to, he can definitely counteract your hook shot, and it will cancel it. So be mindful of that. It is a skill shot. You have to aim this in order to land it. Okay? Now, the second part of our hook shot is the wall dive. This is your primary engage tool. Knocks and stuns on champion hit. On champion hit, increases attack speed up to 80% at max rank. And this is your playmaker ability. This ability is very good for catching enemies. It's also good for gap closing. It's good for trading as well, because you will gain a crap ton of attack speed to be able to rip your opponent apart. So be mindful though, because this is your only engage and this is your only ability where this is your only ability that makes you mobile. So it's very, very wide. You have to use this ability precisely. As I said in the first episode, Camille is all about precision. So if you hit this ability, then you can definitely pull off something. If you miss it though, you could be in a world of trouble. So be mindful of this. It's also recommended that you max this ability as well, which I do recommend in some cases. However, I personally have not been maxing this ability, and I'll explain later as to why I don't do that, or I'll actually be showing you why I don't do that. Anyway, so now we go on to the next ability, her ultimate, which this is essentially an improved J4 ult. I'm sorry, it's Hextech Ultimatum. Okay, this is essentially an improved Jarvan 4 ultimate. You know how Jarvan 4 jumps in and traps you in a little battlefield. Well, this is pretty much a lot better than that, because at least in the Jarvan 4 ultimate, you can flash out of it, or you can pretty much escape it, or such things. This ultimate, you can't escape by any means. You can't flash out, you can't dash, you can't teleport, you can't do anything to get out of this. As long as Camille is in there, okay? As long as Camille is in it, you cannot escape it. It lasts for, I believe, it goes up to 4 seconds at max rank. So you dive in on somebody, they can't escape, and that gives you an opportunity to pretty much wail down on them, unless you're trying to trap them for your team to kill, to be able to finish them. So Basic attacks deal bonus damage, bonus magic damage actually, which goes up to 15, and also goes up to 8% of the target's current health. You also become untargetable when you cast this ability, making this one of another extremely mobile ability as far as outplaying too, because you can dodge various abilities. This is also a playmaker, as I said, because this is very, very great for team fighting. You're very good for catching the carries, or catching somebody that's out of position, or even diving in on the carry. You know what I'm saying? Diving in on the back line, eliminating the carries, locking them down, making sure they can't escape, and also just allowing your teammates to be able to lock in on one target. So this is very, very vital to team fighting. So make sure you don't blow this ability, or don't be using this ability on just anybody that's not worth using it on. It also interrupts any ability prior to the activation. So if anybody was casting something in the middle, like somebody was casting, say for instance, like a Malzahar ult, ulting your teammate, if you ult him, it will cancel his ult. So that's very, very useful in terms of how it affects other champs. It also kind of cancels their auto attack if you time it right. You can cancel their auto attack. You can kind of cancel their ability before it hits you. So it's very, very. It's very. How can I say it? It's very potent. That's what I should have said. It's very, very potent. If you use it right. You should not use this ability recklessly. It's not an ability that makes you OP, but it's more so of a utility ability that makes you a lot better. So now we move on to showing you what Camille can do. Let's see here. Okay, so what I will be discussing in this case, this will be, let's talk about the item builds. Okay, item builds first is what I'm going to go for. So as you should know, let's see. Triforce. Triforce is your main item. This is the #1 item that you need to get by any means, okay? Your main items will be Triforce. It will also, as soon as you get Triforce, you go for Steric's Gauge. Steric's Gauge, come on, man. Look at what it does. Look at what it grants you. See, you on top of your passive shield, you also gain a big shield that scales with your health as well. That's just, come on, man. You gotta go for this. You go for Triforce, Steric's Gauge, also Titanic Hydra or Ravenous Hydra. The thing about these two, well, one of the most unique things about it is that it also resets your auto attack timer. So now they always recommend that you build a Tiamat first in the early. Matter of fact, I'm gonna get to the early. Hold on, I'm gonna get to the early items after this. So Triforce, Steric's Gauge, Titanic Hydra. This is most recommended, or depending on how fed you are, or if you're actually really if you feel like you can really pop off with this, then you can build a Ravenous Hydra for the more damage. And of course with boots, most recommended is Ninja Tabby or Merc Treads. It's very dependent on the matchup. You should not ever want to go Boots of Swiftness or Boots of Ionian Lucidity Boots or Berserker Grease, because you already got a good amount of attack speed. However, if you're feeling lucky or you're feeling very, very fed, you could very well go either of these three. Of course, you never want to go sorceries. Sorcerers, like, at what point? Come on, you must be trolling if you do that. And Boots of Mobility, if you're looking to roam, I do see some use with this. However, I don't ever use mobility because Camille's already mobile enough with hookshot, and she's already fast enough with her Q as well. So if you're looking to roam a lot, you could very well use this. Or if you're in a jungle with her, you could also use this as well. So it's not recommended for me, but I do see some use in it. Alright, so I will be discussing the starting items now, which I feel like that was kind of backwards, but bear with me. So your starting items, well, on average, you will always be starting either the Rand Blade, the Rand Shield, either Corrupting Potion, or you can start the Longsword with the 3 health potions. Now, as I was saying before, they always recommend that you rush a Tiamat. because as I said in the first episode, Camille's wave clear is terrible. Her early game is very, very weak. So Tiamat, of course, does really help in terms of wave clearing. It does give some sustain, and it does reset her auto attack, you know, for her to be able to proc her Qs and such things like that. So it's always recommended that you rush a Tiamat as your first item. But the downside to doing that is that because your item spike is Triforce, if you rush a Tiamat, it kind of sets you back. You know, it sets you back to where you have to pretty much work extra hard to be able to get the gold that you need for Triforce. A lot of times, I personally rush Triforce. Like, I kind of sacrifice my lane a bit, because if I'm going against somebody that's going to be pushing a lot or has a better wave clear than me, or if I'm going against somebody that actually gets Tiamat first before they go for Triforce or anything, then I'm going to have kind of like a hard time in terms of farming, because they're going to be pushing the lane all the time and I'll be pushed under tower. But once I get Triforce though, of course I get to my item spike a lot faster than them. So therefore I definitely should be able to beat them by the time I get Triforce. However though, that's not always the case though, because Camille's even though her item spike is Triforce, just because you have Triforce doesn't mean that you will always be able to win your fights. The way I say that is because Camille's growth is gradual. It's not instant. So it's not like you can just get one item and be able to just completely destroy anybody. It's gradual. Like, you have to slowly build into your other items to be able to actually like outright beat anybody in the game. You know, her snowball potential is not instant. It's not like you get a kill and then you get a lead and then boom, you're able to just get one item, or you get Tiamat and then you're just able to 100% beat everybody already, like Rivens, or, you know what I'm saying, like Darius's or Jax's that get ahead and they could just snowball completely. Like with Camille, it's gradual. It's not instant. So it's like you have to build into your items in order for you to get to that monstrous late game that she has. So yes, be mindful. Let me explain also the reason why for some starting items. Durand Blade, of course, you go for the damage. It gives you extra health, some extra life steal for early game, which is it's most recommended early item to start with. Also, if you ever go shield, you'll be going against shield against anybody that has a lot of poke. Give you some sustain. If you're ever going against somebody that has poke but they're actually squishy, like a Kennen or maybe a Teemo or something, and you actually need some better sustain, you can go Corrupting Potion. And I usually go Corrupting Potion if I'm going against a lot of poke and I need some heavy sustain, as well as me maxing my W. Maxing W is what I usually go for when I go for a Corrupting Potion, because it definitely her W does take a lot of mana. It is kind of mana hungry, so Corrupting Potion does make up for that in a sense. And if I feel like I want to rush my Tiamat, or if I want to rush into Triforce or get Phage first or something like that, then that's when I will get Longsword and I will go into Tiamat, or I'll even go into Phage, such things. However though, if you are rushing Triforce, one of the most recommended things to do, if you are rushing Tiamat, one of the most recommended things to do to maximize Camille's damage is you will rush a Tiamat, and then your next item in terms of Triforce will be Sheen. Combine Tiamat and Sheen, oh, the damage is pretty crazy. So these are actually the two items that can actually make her really can actually allow her to snowball pretty good if you get these two. Alright, so now without further ado, let me showcase some mechanics with her real quick. Let me maximize my level, and this is actually the only time you'll ever see me click to level up my ability, so don't bash me about that. Let's see, let's add a bunch of gold so we can buy our item. Matter of fact, no, we want to start with no items so I can kind of show you just how her abilities work. Oh, this AFK warning is annoying, man. Okay, because literally I'm not even AFK. I don't know why it's telling me I am. Okay, so let's see, what are we gonna start with? Well, we're gonna start showcasing her passive real quick. Let's see. Stop. Alright. So like I said, her passive is triggered off your auto attack. So as you see, passive is triggered. Last cooldown is 10 seconds at your max level. So be sure. You can also it's easy to proc it with your Q because it gives you extra range. As you see, you get an extra little bit of range. That's 50, I believe. Matter of fact, let me turn the minions off before they become a problem. It's very, very vital that you be sure to pay attention to when this passive is up when you're trading with somebody, because this is your only damage migration. Okay, this is the only ability that you have that blocks out damage. So it's very, very potent to use. Okay, there it goes. Now on to her Q. As you see, Precision Protocol, beautiful ability. It also, like I said, it resets your auto attack, so you can actually press this twice, which will essentially reset your autos. But as I said before, if you wait 1.5 seconds, you will hear the sound. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even turn the sound on. How silly am I? Oh my gosh, man. Let me see. Okay, sorry about that. So, as you see, if you hit with her Q, you will hear the sound. That means her Q, her second part, is charged up and ready. Okay? So, hit with the first one, wait for the sound. Boom, there it goes. Look at that, true damage. Oh my gosh, that ability is beautiful. Well, wait a second, it doesn't seem like it's doing any damage. It's because I don't even have no items, right? Because I haven't bought my items yet, just to showcase just how crazy Camille really can be when she's at full build. So, as you see, this makes you really mobile because of the movement speed it grants you. And look at the backflip that she does when she does it, man. That's so dope. So yes, now moving on to the next ability, Tactical Sweep. As you see, yes, the damage is you do more damage the outer side of the cone than you would on the inner side, and the slow only affects on the outer side. If you hit them on the inner side, then it does crappy damage and it doesn't slow them. So be sure, it's easy to aim this, so you really should never really miss this unless somebody is way too close to you. You want to make sure that you keep your distance when you use this ability at all times. In terms of damage though, early game, if you put some early points into this, it can do some really good damage. It's a very good harassing tool and it's good at zoning people. So don't underestimate this ability. Okay, so now on to Hook Shot. As I said, Hook Shot only goes on terrain, which means it can go on walls. You can actually use this on a turret. Oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have showed that. It goes on walls. You have, I believe, a second to recast this as well for your wall dive. This can go on to turrets. This can go on inhibs. But you cannot use this on enemy. You cannot go on enemy champions. Oh, I'm sorry. You cannot go on the enemy champions, okay? So don't ever try to aim this on an enemy champion because you will look like a troll when you do that. So, that's the first part of it. Now, the second part of it. Yes, the wall dive, as I just showed you. Dive right into them. You also increase your attack speed up to 80%. It stuns, and it says it stuns. However, it also knocks them. As you see, it knocks them back. It stuns for 0.75 seconds. So yes, this actually really stuns and roots. This actually stuns and knocks. Also, you can use flash with this ability. There's two versions to it. You have, let's see. If you feel as though that you're too far away from somebody, by all means, don't feel that way because you can definitely still reach up. You can definitely still reach them simply by flashing. You see how this wouldn't hit her? Now check it. Now check this out. Flashing, boom! Look at that. You thought you wasn't gonna get hit? Flashing definitely does help close distance on them, and you want to be mindful of when you want to be mindful of your positioning when you flash on them because, as you can see, when you flash, you can still knock them. However, let me move this over a bit. I need another one. Okay. When you're flashing, you can reposition your knock. So if you flash over here, oh, I'm sorry, I failed that. If you flash over here, you can see how you knock them this way. If you flash behind them, you can knock them behind you. You can knock them back. See? You can knock them back. You can knock them forward. You can knock them sideways. And this is very, very good. Like I said, this is a playmaker ability. So this is very good for catching the enemies, especially when it comes to team fightings and stuff. Team fights in late game, catching the enemy off guard. If you felt like you wasn't going to hit the flash, if you felt like you wasn't going to hit it regularly, you can definitely use your flash to guarantee that you hit it. Guarantee that you'll win the trades or win a fight or be able to catch the enemy carry, so your team can just eliminate them and such things. And also, that's the version. That's the first type of flash. There's another type of flash that I personally like, but it doesn't seem like it. It doesn't seem much of a difference though. Let me show you what this one is.
Regret is what tempers the steel of our soul.
Yeah, let's see. Let me show you. You have the first type, which is this, but you also have this one too, which is a little bit tricky to do actually. As you see, it's more quicker, and it's actually less predictable in a sense. Well, because you're already in the air, so you're just flashing on top of them. However, in this case, you're not really flashing on top. You're not really flashing on top of them, but you're actually closing distance on them, you know, to be able to guarantee your hit. So, oh my gosh, here we go again. There we go. As you see, this is actually more, I personally like this one a lot better because it's less predictable in a sense. I don't know how I can say less predictable, but it's more surprising. You know, you wouldn't expect it. But it also depends. But the thing is, sometimes your enemy might anticipate your hook shot. So once you actually get onto the wall, they'll already be trying to dodge and they'll already be trying to get away from it. So in this case, this type of version can actually save you. This flash here can save you if you miss it, or if it looks like you're about to miss and your opponent is literally just right next to you and you feel like, or you felt insecure thinking that it wasn't going to hit them. But this flash can actually save you. I'm sorry. This flash can actually save you. Now, this flash though, as you can see, if you were to flash like right here, you have like a literally like maybe like probably like 0.5 seconds before it cancels out. So you have like a 0.5 second to use this ability when after you flash off the wall, or after you do this kind of flash. As you see, Camille sits there for like a split second. There, and that gives you the opportunity to initiate the wall dive on them. So you should practice this ability. You should practice this because it's not hard, but it's actually a little bit tricky, you know, to pull off in a way. So you just want to be mindful of the target's positioning, and you want to make sure that if you're going in for the dive, you want to make sure that this is gonna hit. So sometimes you might just have to use flash just to guarantee the hit, because if you miss it, it can cost you. I keep telling you, it can really cost you just by missing her hook shot and missing the wall dive. Okay, so be very, very mindful that that ability is very vital to her survival, and it's very vital to catching the enemy. Okay, so now we move on to her ultimate, Hex Tech Ultimatum, the improved Jarvan for ultimate. Look at that, traps them in a nice little in the hexagon. They cannot get out. They cannot get out at all. They can't flash. They can't run out of here. They can't teleport. They can't do anything to get out of there as long as you're in there. So if you were to be in here and walk out, that's where it just cancels out like immediately. So basic attacks, they do deal extra bonus damage based off their current health. So the damage is pretty mild. So don't expect it to be don't expect you to be able to put a lot of damage on them, but it's basically like on hit though. So the damage can really ramp up the more you auto attack them. And especially when you hit them with your hook shot or hit them on your wall dive and you have the crap ton of attack speed, and you can definitely be able to really rip them up, you know, with the damage. So I've showed all her abilities. Now it's time to show the default combos, okay? So now, default combos. what you first want to do is you want to hook shot into them. First off, you can actually charge your Q up. Wait a second. Let me think. Okay. Alright, so first combo here. Start your W, slow them, hook shot in, boom. Guarantee initiate your trade with that. Next time. Also, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention this as well. You can use any ability in the middle of hook. Well, you can use tactical sweep in the middle of your hook shot. So, cast your tactical sweep, and you can hook shot in between, in the middle, right in the middle of that. Or you can do the other way around. Cast your hook shot while using tactical sweep. That, like I said, makes her so unique, being able to use that. Two abilities at the same time makes her very, very mobile as well. Oh, missed that. As you can see. See? It's very, very unique on her. So, now we talking about combos. Let's get right back into that. Alright, so basic combos. Start your Q, hit with your W, hit with your second Q. That's one combo. You can, let's see, start the Q, hook shot, get your auto attacks in, hit the second Q. Another combo. Let's see, another combo you can do is start with your W, hit with your Q, hit with the wall dive, hit the Q again. Another combo can be, you can actually start with your hook shot, hit with your Q. Oh, okay, let's retry that again. Okay. Hook shot in, start Q, hit the W, there you go, hit the Q again. Let's see, another combo you can start, let's see, actually hit with the hook shot, start with the Q, start with the W, hit with the Q, auto attack in, and hit with the Q once again. Now, combos with your ult. These are some advanced combos, how about that? So, you can start with your Q. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm at a brain malfunction for that second. Okay, so this is gonna be your all-in combo. So you want to hook shot onto them, activate your Q, activate ult. Simple basic combo. You can start with your Q, go in, hit with your Q, ult. By the time you go in with your ultimate, your second Q should be charged up. Now, and when it comes to trading with people, it all matters on how many Qs you're able to hit before you can finish your target off. So you want to be very, very mindful of how many Qs you hit, you know, how many Qs you get in on a trade, because your Qs, if they get hit with way too many Qs, they're gonna be low to the point where you can definitely execute them. So you can hit with your Q, hit with your W, hit with your Q. You can hit with your Q, go in, hook shot, hit with your ult. There you go, finish them with the Q. And then while you're in your ultimate, your next Q should be up by then. Flash Q, hit with your ultimate, Q, hit with your W. Also, when you're in your ultimate, you want to make sure that you hit as many basic attacks as you can in there. You also want to make sure you hit with as many basic attacks as you can before you hit your Qs. So you can hit with your basic attack, start your Q up, hit with as many basic attacks as you can before you hit with your second Q, just to maximize the amount of damage that you can deal, okay? The attack speed when you hit with your wall dive is very, very vital, because it definitely maximizes the damage, especially. Also, the attack speeds, I'm sorry, another thing you should take note of, her faster attack speeds makes her Q hit a lot faster. Sometimes it might seem like her Q is slow, but the more attack speed that you have, of course, because it's an auto attack, it definitely, the animation of it is much quicker. Very, very quick. So be mindful that attack speed does really play a part in Camille. Now, let's build my full build. That way, you can really see just how effective Camille really can be in terms of fighting and combos. So we got Triforce, we got Sterix Gauge, we got, matter of fact, let's go Ravenous Hydra. Now boots, I mean, like I said, it varies. Mostly the most recommended is Ninja Tabbies and Merc Treads. So in this case, since we're in practice tool, I can go Berserker Greaves for the more attack speeds. So then, now after you get these 3 items, Triforce, Sterix Gauge, or even Titanic Hydra or Ravenous Hydra, everything else is really dependent. Is really varies on what you want to build, or really it just varies on what you're going against. Or if you feel like you want to be a monstrous carry, you want to be able to one-shot everybody, one-shot carries, you can go for more damage. You can even build a Bloodthirster. You can even build Spirit Shojin. You can build like a Blade of Ruin King. It very depends on what the matchup entails. You know, most times you might build some extra defense, like maybe a Dead Man's Plate, maybe Thorn Mail, or Sunfire Cape. Or if you're going against heavy AP users, you might even build you can even build a Wit's End or Adaptive Helmet, such things like that. Like I said, these are the main 3 items that you want to build. After you get these 3 items, the rest is up to you on what you want to get. So, me personally though, when I get those 3 items, I actually build a Frozen Mallet and I think I even build a Spirit Shojin. Matter of fact, no, I don't. I don't build a Spirit Shojin. I don't even try this. I don't even use this that often. I mean, I might start, but me personally, it doesn't really suit me. Not like that, at least. So let's see. I'm gonna build a Blade of Ruin King. Okay. So now look at this build. This is a monstrous build. Trust me. Look at the HP, 3.5k HP, and look at the damage, 424 AD. This is a monstrous build. As such, this is really good for when you're fed. Okay, this is really good for when you're fed. And this is a very good late game build. This is a very good ability for one-shotting carries and one-shotting almost anybody. You should be able to. You should not be able to lose in a duel with anybody with a build like this. Trust me, you should never be able to. So now, full build. Look at the damage. Look at the damage of that Q. 1k, 1k true damage. This is at full build. Oh my gosh, man, you gotta be kidding me. Who can stand a chance against Camille right now, man? So let's see. Full build, maximize the Qs, maximize the auto attacks. Less than gauge. Look at the attack speed. Oh my gosh, man. Attack speed is crazy. Now, one of the greatest things about her is that, while I said when it comes to lane, it depends on how many Qs you hit that defines if you win a fight. When it comes to late game though, all you need to do is land your combo and you can just kill anybody. Literally, by late game, it doesn't matter how many Qs you hit. All you have to do literally is land your combo and you can definitely like kill anybody in just one combo. Or even 1 Q can even kill somebody. Like I said, 1 Q can one-shot their any carries. So it all depends on if you even get close to them or if you even are able to land your combos. So let's see. One thing that you should take note of as well is that her Q is an auto attack, like I said, but you can also, if you have very good timing, you can time this when you're in the middle of a hook shot and when you're in the middle of your ultimate. Like, let's see. Let me show you. There you go. Ravenous Hydra, of course, resets her auto. Able to cast Q once again. Maximize damage. As you can see. Now, Ravenous Hydra also, or Titanic, Ravenous, or Tiamat, whatever you want to call it for this case, you can it can reset the animation for your tactical sweep. So that way, as you can see, it cancels out the animation, but it still does its damage. Very simple to do. Now, as I was saying though, when you hit your Q, you can actually hit your Q at the right time and use your any other ability. Let me see. As you see how I was able to still hit him because it's an auto attack. So I was able to get my auto attack in right when I was able to hook shot. And you can also do this when you ult too. See how I was able to still do my Q damage? You gotta have very, very good timing with this. Nope, missed my hook shot. Also, you want to be you want to take smooth advantage of Camille's mobility at all times. So sometimes it depends on your build, or it depends on how the laning is going. You don't want to sit there and always you don't want to sit there and just stand toe to toe with somebody that you know you're gonna have a hard time with. Like for instance, if you're going against a Jax, or if you're going against a good duelist like a Jax or a Fiora or Irelia, you kind of want to play around your Q a bit. You don't want to sit there and stand toe to toe fighting with somebody that you know is kind of going to beat you in a duel until late game. But you want to be able to move around, take advantage of the movement speed that your Q gets. You know, you want to play around, you want to go in, go to trades. You want to wait for your Q to come up and then fight again. You know what I'm saying? Be very mobile on the battlefield. Don't just stand, you know, don't just stand in one place trying to fight somebody that you kind of know that you're not really gonna lose. You're not really gonna win in a straight up duel like that. Because Camille, like I said, in my last episode, I said that Camille is really good for short bursty trades. She's not somebody that's good for extended trades unless, of course, she is in her late game prime. So in the early game, you really want to focus on short trades only. Especially with getting your Qs off and being able to just get out of there and be waiting for the next trade to come. Oops. Another thing too. I'm sorry, that was another thing I forgot to add. You can flash in the middle of your hook shot. If you feel like you wasn't gonna hit the wall, you can flash closer to it to kind of make you move a little. Kind of make it faster. You know what I'm saying? If you feel like if you're trying to dodge something in the middle of your hook shot and you want to get out of the way, you can flash closer to the wall that you're hook shotting on, so you can pretty much get to it a lot closer. But you don't want to do it in the middle of you being pulled because it will cancel. So see? So you can get to the wall a lot quicker. Alright, so I think I've discussed enough as far as her mechanics and her mechanics and item builds. So now what I will do is I will turn right over to the matchup difficulties. This, trust me, is gonna be a lot that we're gonna cover, so please stay with me. I'm hoping I can answer. I hope this really helps you guys out, because like I said, I put a lot of hard work into this one. Alright, so let's move on. Alright, look at this, look at this. I know, it seems like it's a lot right now, but just bear with me. We are going to start from the left side and we're going to work our way over, alright? So just bear with me. So this is definitely my guide. This is Steph J. Millz' guide to Camille. Look at, I told you I put a lot of hard work into this episode. So here we go. We are going to, let's see, the pros and cons, okay? Pros, yes, she is a hyper carry, excellent split pusher, excellent duelist, excellent Roman, true damage, game-changing ultimate, untargetable ultimate, high mobility, and she's got savage quotes. Oh man, she talks a lot of crap. It's a quote. I think she has a quote for everybody. Every champion in the game, she has a quote for. So, moving on to the cons. She has a high skill cap. She's not a beginner-friendly champion. Naturally squishy. You can build her like a tank, but in her nature, she does not have any kits that make her really tanky unless she has her passive. Her passive is the only thing that is her only... Her passive is her only tool of defense. Other than that, she's naturally squishy. She has a terrible early game. Bad farmer. Only one escape ability, which is the hook shot. Her snowball is gradual, not instant. As I said, if you were to get a kill or if you were to get a lead, that doesn't mean that you can just straight kill everybody in the early game. You have to pretty much wait until you get your item spikes, which is of course either Tiamat and Sheen or getting Triforce and getting Sterix Gauge, such things. That's where you reach, that's your prime, okay? Those items will help you get to your prime. So, don't think just because you got a couple kills that you can just beat anybody, you know? It's very, very gradual. So, she's very useless when behind, man. I can't express that enough. When I lose or when I do bad in lane, when I'm behind, it's so hard for Camille to catch up to where it's like I said, one mistake can really cost you for the rest of the game. And it's really, I can't express that enough because that's happened to me a lot of times on the stream, okay? So be very mindful that she is a very risky champ. And also, she has high expectations, which means anybody that sees you play this champ, they expect for you to carry, they expect for you to perform well, they expect for you to outplay and do everything right. So when you fail with this champion, a lot of people will criticize you. People have criticized me, trust me, when they see me do bad or they believe that my skills aren't as great as other Camille players, which like I said, I'm not the best Camille in the world, so I don't ever put that title above my name. But I have my own personal skills that I like to showcase and such things. So like I said, I could care less if anybody tells me if I'm bad, because it's like, well, that's your opinion, you know? Because I know there's people in this world that look at me and they're like, oh my god, his Camille is so wonderful, you know what I'm saying? So I don't let that stuff get to me. But just know that when you pick this champ up, you really gotta make sure you know what you're doing. She is not beginner friendly, so you want to take her in the practice tools. You want to practice with her. You want to play against bot matches before, you know, to really get her down before you start playing her in normal games and playing her in ranked games. Because that way you really know what you're doing and nobody can tell you anything. So the recommended summoner spells with her: Flash, Teleport, Flash Ignite, Flash, and even Ghost, actually, because of course this actually really makes you way more mobile now. Way more mobile. You got Flash, you got Ghost for a bunch of movement speed. You know, you can definitely catch up to people. You can stay locked on to somebody. You can stay on the carry, such things. So it's very optional. I don't use Ghost because I have Flash, but it's very optional. You know, depending on how you play or depending on how you feel you would do. If you feel like you would do better with Ghost and Flash, then by all means feel free to try that up. So the skill level up order, it's recommended that you start with her W, then you level up hook shot, and then you level up your Q. That way you can start your combos that I showed you in that I actually just showed you. So you start with like W, you hook shot in, then you hit with your Q, and then boom, that's your combo right there. Now maxing though, it's recommended that you max hook shot, but I personally also will recommend maxing Q as well, depending on the matchup. If you want to maximize your damage, maximize as much true damage as possible, then of course you would max your Q. If you want to maximize the attack speed, if you want to be able to engage more often, if you want to be able to escape more often or be very, very high mobile, then you would max your hook shot to lower the cooldown of it, as well as giving the steroid attack speed boost that it gives, up to like what, 80%? Yeah, no kidding. So early items, as I said, Duran Blade, Longsword, Duran Shield, Corrupting Potion, and some pots. Your core items, you will go for, of course, Tiamat as rush is optional, as I said, but if you rush a Tiamat, just know that you're going to have to work extra hard to be able to get to your Triforce. So, core items, which will be Triforce, it'll be Sterix Gauge, Titanic Hydra, or Ravenous Hydra. And of course, with boots, it depends on the matchup. If you're going against an AD, I recommend going with Ninja Tabby. If you're going against an AP user, go Merc Treads. You know? So, the item path, though, that you want to build is when you're rushing Tiamat, you should also be going for boots right after that. Or, if you're fed, you can actually rush into Sheen and then build right into Triforce. Or you can rush into your boots and then rush into Triforce. But like I said, buying other items before Triforce sets you back. So you run the risk of possibly having Triforce maybe by 20, maybe 30, maybe 25 to maybe 30 minutes if you're buying everything else before that. So a lot of times you will see me just straight buy Triforce. Like, I won't even buy boots, I won't even buy Tiamat. I'm just trying to get Triforce as soon as possible. That way, by late game, I'll already have my items and I'll be able to I'll be at my prime. So that very much varies on, what you feel comfortable with doing. So now, moving over to the matchup difficulties. This is going to be quite an explanation, guys. It's going to be a lot to talk about, so just bear with me. I'm going to explain each and every single one of these matchups. This is also my personal list for who I feel like is easy, moderate, and hard against Camille. This is my personal guide, my personal matchup. If you don't agree with me, then by all means, I understand. Feel free to comment below on what you don't agree with or what you feel like should be changed or should be switched. But these are just my personal preferences. So, easy matchups. The matchup is in your favor. You can win this lane, okay? That's Garen, Silas, Echo, Yorick, Yasuo, Alawi, Quinn, Gnar, Kayle, Nasus. However, this changes mid and late game depending on how well he farms, okay? So that will define if he turns into, if he goes from easy to hard, is how good he farms. Because Nasus will always outscale you if he farms good, okay? One thing you should always take note of. And Rumble. Not saying that he's going to change mid and late game, but he's actually one of the easier matchups. Now, moderate matchups is a skill matchup, or you can go even with this person. A matter of who gets ahead first. So who can snowball first against you is the thing. You got Irelia, Riven, Aatrox, Vladimir, Kennen, Ryze, Kled, Olaf, Wukongs. You don't see Wukongs on top too often, but when you do, he actually is pretty he's pretty moderate to face. You got Singed, you got Urgot, and you got Tryndamere. Now, hard matchups, these people have a kit that counters you, performs better in the lane, and can snowball heavily. Which means if they get a kill on you, or they get a kill somewhere else, if they get their item lead, it's all in the matter of just trying to outplay them. Or trying to get to your late game so you can kind of stand a chance against them. But these are champs that can snowball heavy to the point where there's just no way you can fight them, especially even in late game, because they're ahead. You have Jax, typical Jax. You got Darius, you got Jace, you got Renekton, you got Fiora, Poppy, Gangplank, Teemo, Lord have mercy, Akali, Rengar, Pantheon, and a Sion. Jeez, Sion, dude. Now the no-kill potential, those are just straight tanks that you can't just outright kill. You cannot outright kill them unless you're ahead or they pretty much misperform or they just act real foolish in the lane. A lot of tanks though, they have weak early games, so if you can exploit that and get ahead from their weak early game, then you should definitely be able to, you would be able to kill them. But however, most of the time, you should be focusing on farming. You can call for ganks or roam as much as possible to get a lead on them, because champs like Cho'Gath and Tahm Kench and Maokai, you can't just outright kill them, especially in the lane. Cho'Gath has crazy sustain. He's going to shove and push you in lane all the time because he's got all the CC in the world. So you can't really do much against him in the lane, especially if he's farming good too. He gets his items. Tahm Kench, you already know Tahm Kench is a pain. You can't even stand even toe to toe with him, even if you were fed, because Tahm Kench in his nature, of course, is just always going to be able to beat you in a fight. Early game, if that, but late game, when you're in your late game prime, he's just going to be a big tank, so you should always be able to 1v1 him, especially late game. But in the early stages, like early and mid game, if he's well on farm and he's got his main items, you will definitely not be able to stand a chance against him unless you are super fed, or unless you reach late game to where you're able to 1v1 anybody. So Tahm Kench is somebody you don't want to sit there and engage on. Maokai, crazy sustain. He's got annoying lane pressure, such things like that. So you kind of don't want to engage on him unless you know it's real, unless you know you have a chance. And you know, he's just somebody that you just so want to focus on farming, and you just want to roam as much as possible, because tanks like them, they really fall off late game. They're really good for late game as far as being tanky and applying enough CC for their team. But in terms of you fighting them in a 1v1, you should always be able to beat them in a 1v1 if you're in the late game, if you're in your late game prime. But if they kill you in the laning phase, then by all means, they will be nearly impossible to even kill for you. So you want to make sure you never give them any kills, and you want to make sure that you're focusing on farming. That way you can be more useful in a team fight than them. Despite them being a tank, you're also a carry that can dive the backlines and one-shot people. So be sure to don't mess up going against these guys. Like Volibear is pretty interesting to fight against, because he definitely does have the ability to counterplay you, because his his majestic roar, I believe, he can definitely use that anytime you try to hook shot. So you kind of don't want Volibear to ever get close in on you, because he can just keep you locked in on him. He can definitely save his roar just in case you try to hook shot away, cancel that out, you got no escape, and he can just whittle you down. And of course, his true damage is kind of not really, well, his true damage is better than yours, because your early game is weak. His early game is pretty strong. He has his passive too that heals him. So it's all in pretty much just kiting and zoning him. You know what I'm saying? He's easy to kite and zone, but you don't want to give him any kills. You don't want to make any mistakes against him, because it will cost you. And of course, he will build very tanky. Some Volibears also build aggressively. They build some damage items, such as building a Titanic Hydra, which increases his pushing, and also makes it harder for you to actually duel him. So you don't want to mess up against Volibear. Malphite, he's a tank. He's got his little poke, and he also actually has he can slow your attack speed with his ground pound, I believe. If you were to max hook shot and engage on him, he can just use that, and it can pretty much cancel out the attack speed that you gain. So not recommended that you actually just engage on him or fight him unless he misperforms. Like I said, you just want to focus on farming. Also with Ornn is, of course, is very tanky as well. It's very recommended that you just focus on farming. Don't really try to engage on them unless you see an opening, unless you can take advantage of the weak early game they have. If they mess up, they misperform, take advantage of that, get your lead, and then you could actually, some of these champs you could snowball against. Like, you can snowball against an Ornn if, of course, you're actually really ahead, or if he really messes up. So Mundo's early game, of course, you want to take advantage of the early game, because he doesn't have his ultimate. So without his ultimate, you should definitely be able to kind of beat him in the lane, but you don't want to take too much damage from his cleavers. Be mindful that he does deal crazy damage when he's low on health, so you want to be very careful with that. Also, of course, Executioner's Calling is the best bet with him when he has his ult, but of course by late game he's going to be a monstrous tank, so it's not recommended that you try to 1v1 him unless you're, of course, in your late game prime. You got your main items, and also if you have Executioners, you should definitely be able to stand a chance against them as in 1v1s. But like I said, in terms of laning, it's recommended that you just focus on farming. Don't try to kill them, don't try to fight them unless you're ahead or they misperform. Call for ganks. If they see an opportunity for a gank, your jungler should take it, get you fed, and roam as much as possible if you're struggling against these people, okay? If you're struggling against anybody of that nature. So, now I will be moving on to the hard matchups first, okay? This is going to be very, very in-depth, so just follow along with me, okay? Alright, discussing the Jax matchup. I mean, it's Jax. We all know that, right? He's a lane bully. Counter-Strike, of course, counters you. You know that. It counters your Q. It counters you know, it just counters you because you're based off auto attacking. So Counter-Strike counters that. Heavy snowballing, better duelist, and he has a better late game as well too. His late game, of course, it's Jax. Like, you know, it's better than yours because he's naturally going to be able to outscale you, especially if he's fed. If he's got his main items. Spear of Shojin Jax, of course, is I'm telling you, Spear of Shojin Jax is incredibly dangerous, especially late game. You don't ever want to 1v1 a Jax because he's always going to be able to stay on you. Your hook shot can only last but so long. So it's, man, trust me, he's one of the lanes that I actually really struggle against. But there are plus sides, okay? There are a lot of plus sides to a lot of champs, even if they're hard matchups, okay? So plus side to it, he's vulnerable without counter strike, so you want to take advantage of that. He has a weak early game, just like you. He's vulnerable to poke, which means maxing W or leveling up your W, harassing with W, even with Arcane Comment will definitely help out in the early game. Hook shot can counter his engage, so if he leap strikes on you, it's recommended that you stand next to the wall as much as possible with a Jax, because if he leap strikes on you, that gives you the perfect opportunity to hook shot him, and that will push him away. It also does help if he's on you and he tries to counter strike, you can hook shot and push him away from you. So that will cancel his whole engage on you, which gives you an opportunity to re-engage on him because he doesn't have his leap strike and he doesn't have counter strike. You also do have outplay potential with your hook shot, and you have outplay with your ultimate. Anytime I say you have outplay potential, which means you can, even if they have a kit that's meant to destroy you, you have abilities that can counteract that. It's all in how you play. So you want to be very careful in your usage of abilities, okay? So now moving on to Darius. It's Darius. I don't have to worry about him because he's perma-banned. I perma-banned him, so I don't ever have to see his face in my top lane. So he's a big bully. Bleed, of course, is bleed. Like, it's irritating. Execute ultimate. Extreme punisher. You don't want to be out of position when you're going against a Darius. He can run you down. He can take smooth advantage of your cooldowns. Oh my god, trust me. You don't want to get caught by a Darius, especially being out of position, because it will, oh my gosh, it will just destroy your hopes man, of winning. Because Darius, of course, will just run you down. Like I said, dangerous, all-in, great skirmisher. He can just start a fight with you at any given time. You're trying to farm. He pulls you. He starts hitting you with his Q, hits you with his slow. He already has like 3 to 4 bleed stacks on you. You're trying to escape. It's like you constantly have to back away and hook shot away from him because you don't want him to kill you. You don't want him to... He has extreme snowballing potential. You don't want him to kill you and then you be able to not do anything in the lane anymore because he's so ahead now. But... on a plus side, though, he has no mobility, so all he has to do is just run up to you the whole time and stay close to you. He can be zoned and kited, so it's this is more so when his pull is on cooldown. When his pull is on cooldown, that makes it very easy to zone and kite him because he can't pull you back into a fight. He can't keep you in a fight unless he has that up. So you want to be very mindful of that, and his kit is predictable. He's a very predictable champion, even though he's very easy to feed, but he's very predictable. So you want to be very mindful of what to expect when you're going against a Darius. He's going to try and be very aggressive. He's going to try and he's going to always try to pull you into a fight. Some Dariuses try to actually save their pull for when they try to hook shot, for when you try to hook shot away. They try to save that. So you really want to be very careful on how you trade with them and how long you stay in a fight with them, because it's risky even trying to do short trades with him because he can just pull you back into the fight and you can't get out of it, because if you hook shot in on him, he's going to keep you in a fight and you might even lose, man. So positioning, this one thing I should have added, is very key to Darius, okay? So moving on to Fiora. Fiora will be very aggressive to proc her vitals, so your positioning is very key to that. Parry counters your hook shot engage, so you never want to hook shot on her when she has her parry up. Never, ever want to hook shot when she has it up. The best thing you could do is you can bait it out. You can hook shot the wall and just wait a second. Don't jump on her immediately. Some Fioras will be very, very scared and they'll actually parry you before you even leave the wall. So once you see them parry, you have your window of opportunity to jump back on them, and boom, you'll be able to win the trade on that. So she's a great skirmisher, better duelist. She definitely has a better kit in terms of dueling than you have, and she's a heavy snowballer. So if she's ahead, it's very hard to play against her in the lane. So as I said, positioning is key. She's vulnerable without parry. She's vulnerable to poke, so you can put some early points in your W to kind of harass her in the lane. She has a mediocre early game, so it all depends on how aggressive she is to proc her vitals. So if you really focus on denying those vital procs from her, then of course you definitely can turn this lane around. You have outplay potential. Yes, your kit has the potential to outplay hers. You can snowball against her, which means if you do have a lead, you can actually keep that lead on her, and you'll be able to actually beat her. And you have a better team fight than her, okay? Much better team fight than her. So she has to focus on locking down on one person, but she has her parry, of course, in the team fights. But once her parry is down, she can get blown up easily. So she's one of the champs that you really just don't want to get fed. You don't want to feed her because she could definitely be a very big problem in terms of team fighting, okay? So, Poppy, I can definitely say Poppy is one, if not the most direct counter to Camille. Like, no kidding. You like walls? Oh, no problem. Of course, she can just charge you into the wall every time, stun you and everything, and initiate her full combo on you. And since Camille is, of course, heavily reliant on terrain, then this just makes Poppy look at you like, please, like, I was born for this. Like, oh my gosh. Steadfast presence. Enough said. That right there, enough said. You thought being near walls was bad. Shoot, being near her in general is even worse, because if she has that whole thing, if she has that steadfast presence around you, you can't even hook shot away. Your best bet is to try and run away. Is to try and run away from her, or wait for it to go down. But by then, she'll already be all up on you to where she's gonna try and force you to get close to a wall, and then boom. It's just, it's hard to deal with her, man. Lane bully, she's a bully in the lane. She's very tanky and still does damage, and she can snowball heavy against you, which means she could just build tank items and still be able to just completely 1v1 you, man. So, man, I can tell you, Poppy's is one of the hardest counters to Camille. Like, one of the hardest direct counters because of her kit. It's just, her kit is just more, it's just very, very, how can I say it? It's very, like I said, it's more of a direct counter, okay? It's hard to really outplay her because everything that you do is your mobility. She counters your mobility. How about that? That's the best way I can describe it. She counters your mobility. So your hook shot, she counters that completely. You can't even be next to walls. She's very tanky, so she can just pretty much run up to you and, you know, still do a sizable amount of damage. Her passive, of course, it's a ranged passive that gives her a shield. So yes, very, very aggressive in the lane. You'll have a lot of trouble if you die to her. There's no coming back from that. Man, it's gonna be a hard time though. But she has a predictable kit though. Predictable kit, vulnerable to poke. You can actually harass her. You can kind of zone her in a sense too. And you do have outplay potential, which means a well-timed ultimate can actually counter her ult. It can counter her her heroic charge on you. And I don't know if anybody has seen one of my clips or one of my montages, but you've seen me hook shot her ult. You can hook shot her ult, and it's very easy to do, but it takes some timing, okay? When you see her, the moment you see her about to hit the ground with her ult, if you hook shot right after that, or right in the middle of that, you can definitely deny the knockback that she does to you. Like I said, her hook shot can counter any kind of crowd control. So if you saw the clip or the video of me doing that, you know exactly why you know that is possible. So, moving on to Renekton. Renekton has a strong early game. You literally cannot fight him when he has high fury. You can't fight him when his fury is high. His empowered abilities, it depends on, now the thing about that, it depends on what ability he uses. But if he has max fury, he can 100 you with full combo. Nearly 100 you, I'm sorry. But if he's full build and he does his combo on you, or if he's ahead, if he can snowball against you, trust me, that full combo, oh my gosh, man, will just rip you apart. He's a better farmer. He's a resourceless champion, which that puts you at a disadvantage already because he doesn't take any resources. He just relies on cooldowns. He also has a crazy sustain, and he's a heavy snowballer, like I said. So one kill, one lead, if he gets a lead on you, it's hard to come back from that. Though he's vulnerable with low fury, you outscale him because he falls off late game. And you have a better team fight in terms of late game as well. So it's all in how you do in the early game. You don't want to let him get ahead. You don't want to give him any kills. You want to take advantage of his low fury. That's the perfect time to initiate any trades on him. Other than that though, he is a very difficult person to fight, and you could definitely fall flat on your face if you fail in the lane against him. Now, moving on to Jace. Jace, he's melee and ranged. He's a lane bully. Hammer stance definitely can counter you. It can knock you in the middle of your hook shot. Some Jaces will actually save that for when you try to hook shot. And it also, he can knock you right out of your ultimate. So, he's very aggressive in the lane, and he's actually a heavy snowballer, which means if he reaches his item spike or if he's ahead, literally, he can pretty much just destroy you. Although he can maintain his lead, and he can just destroy you if you're not too careful, man. However, he's vulnerable in his cannon stance. You want to take smooth advantage of that. He has no sustain, vulnerable to poke and all-ins. So when you see him in his cannon stance, that is the perfect time to engage any trade with him. However, you want to be mindful though, if he switches into his hammer stance, be mindful that when he switches to his cannon stance, it takes about, I believe, it's a short cooldown before he can switch back to hammer stance. So you want to take smooth advantage of the window of opportunity that you have to trade with him in the middle of that. You actually outscale him as well. He falls off late game, and you have a better team fight. So, it's all in you getting into your late game. Because once you get to your late game, Jace cannot deal with you. Jace cannot fight you. He has to severely out. So wise words from a wise player, FM Jace. He says that once Camille gets into her prime or gets into her late game, gets her late game items, Jace has to severely outplay you. But of course, it's Camille in her late game, so Jace can't necessarily outplay her in a sense if she has her main items or late game. So once it's a matter of if you can get a lead above him, or you could just get to your late game and definitely be able to turn fights around against him. So he is definitely very difficult though in the early game, so you got to be very careful with that. Pantheon. Oh, spear poke. These ridiculous early game. I'm sorry. Ridiculous early game spear poke and a stun. He's going to be very aggressive. Passive can block your Q. Mind you, when he hits with his stun, he guarantees his passive. So you want to be very careful when he engages on you. You also want to be very careful of when you use your Q, because you don't want to use your second Q and then watch it get blocked, and then you of course looking real upset like, oh my gosh, like why? Guarantee will roam at level 6, so you want to alert your teammates at all times when he will roam, because of course he will ult. He will most likely ult mid lane, and he will possibly even ult bot lane, because he wants to snowball against the other laners. You know, so you want to be very careful of that. And he can snowball against you really heavy. If you fall behind, or if he gets a kill on you, it's very hard to come back from that. But his kit is predictable. He's vulnerable to poke, and he's also vulnerable to all-ins. You outscale him, he falls off late game, better team fight, and you can snowball against him if you get ahead as well. So, just be very careful on how you play in the early game. Rengar tops aren't as often as they were before, or I believe it was in the last season. But when you do go against a Rengar top, just know that he has a scary level 1 and he has a scary early game. His early game is like much superior to yours. Constant bush abuser. He will definitely be sitting in the bush all the time. He will jump on you when he sees the opportunity. He will just take advantage of that, and he will just burst you down as quickly as possible. He will try to snowball against you. He's very heavy on the snowball too. And of course, he may roam at level 6. So you want to be alerting your teammates on that. However, his kit is predictable. You kind of already know what to expect when you go against a Rengar. You do outscale him late game. He's just going to be literally an assassin, but of course you have the ability to outscale him when you get to your late game prime. You have a better team fight in terms of your ultimate and such things and catching people. You can snowball against him, so of course if you do end up getting a lead, or if you do kill him, of course you can definitely keep your lead, and he won't be able to do anything to you as long as you play right. If you do mess up your lead, then I don't know what to tell you guys. Like, so moving on to Akali. She has a strong early game. Twilight Shroud counters your engage, so you can never engage on an Akali when she has that up. I promise you, it will be rough, man. Execute ultimate energy champion, that already puts you at a disadvantage. Heavy snowballing, and her poke, her early game. Now the difference between the new Akali from the old Akali is the new Akali of course has a much stronger early game than the old Akali did. Old Akali had a very weak early game, but she did have outplay potential against you. She had a lot of outplay potential. And of course, once she got to level 6, that's when she became a monster. Level 6 was her defined if a Callie got to level 6 first, that pretty much defined if she was just gonna just straight win the whole game, because the late game old Callie was just so monstrous to where, oh my gosh, like I actually used to love playing her myself, but the new Callie, I don't play her at all. I haven't even touched the new Callie like that. I might have to try and practice with her a little bit to kind of understand her, but her early game and her mid and late game is definitely pretty strong too, but you don't want to give her any kills because she can definitely snowball very heavy against you. It's very difficult to really trade with her because she has her constant Q harass, and she also does her Twilight Shroud, which she could just disappear and all that, and then it's just difficult to deal with her in the lane. That's all I can really say. However, excuse me, she's vulnerable without her shroud. She's vulnerable to poke. She has dodgeable skills, and you have outplay potential. So take note of this, and you'll definitely be able to pull through in the lane, okay? So, Gangplank. Parley. I'm sorry, that sounded real corny, didn't it? Constant getting shot in the face, man. That's just gonna be really annoying. Barrel, another. Of course, you see barrels everywhere. They're so annoying, man. Gosh, man, I really don't like it. Of course, your hook shot engage and his oranges, and it's just okay. He's just gonna orange. Of course, he's gonna counter the stun and the knock up. So, it's just annoying. There's no real way you can jump in on him like that. As long as he has that up, he has a global ultimate, so he's pretty much everywhere for his team, and he will reach his item spike fast. Sheen will be his item spike. So, of course, 9 times out of 10, the Gangplank is going to max his Q first. So, once he gets Sheen, the poke will be, annoying. Very annoying. Of course, he does get gold a lot faster as well. So, he will definitely reach his item spike much faster. So, like I said, he also does actually snowball pretty heavy. So, if he's ahead of you, it will be hard to come back from that. So you really want to be very careful on how you deal with him in the lane. He's vulnerable though without his oranges, so if you can bait his oranges, or if he uses his oranges just to maintain some sustain, you can definitely engage on him. You can definitely all in on him. He's vulnerable to poke and all ins. Barrels are his real damage. Even though he can just harass you with his Q all day, which will pretty much eat up his mana, but his barrels are his real damage. So you want to be very careful of that. You want to eliminate his barrels as quickly as possible. You want to be able to dodge them as much as possible. And of course, when he doesn't have any barrels, or when he can't hit you with any barrels, that puts you at a very big advantage in terms of beating him. So you also outscale him as well. So like I said, take note of this, and you'll be able to win in your lane. Now going against a freaking Teemo, dudes. Like, oh my gosh, Teemos. I can't stand him. I hate him. I'm sorry, I got a little upset there. It's Teemo, man. He's a lane bully. Blind, of course, counters you. We all know this. Can easily snowball you. Like, of course, he gets a kill or he gets ahead. Trust me, it's, oh my god, it's really embarrassing getting killed by a Teemo, and you may be tilted when it does happen. Trust me, I've been tilted when it happens to me. So, trust me, it's just very cancerous, I can say. But he's vulnerable without his blind, so a lot of times Teemo will use their blind aggressively, so that gives you a window of opportunity to initiate an all-in trade against them. He has a predictable kit, like, of course, it's Teemo. You know what to expect. He's vulnerable to poke, which a lot of times you'll see me max my W just to poke him down, because I know it's going to be hard to engage on him if he has his blind up. And you outscale him. Late game, you will definitely outscale him. You should definitely be able to just rip that little, I don't want to be rude, but just little freaking munchkin. You should be able to rip him apart late game. And you have a better team fight, even though his shrooms, of course, can definitely be a problem for your team. But in terms of actually 5v5ing, you definitely have a better team fight against them. So take note of this, and you'll be able to prevail against a Teemo. Sion, well, correction, he's not necessarily a very, very hard counter, but he's hard in general to lane with, I can say. He's pretty much equivalent to the no-kill potential with the tanks, but Sion is a special case, because he's ridiculously tanky. He has better farming. He has a lot of crowd control. Somehow, he can have over 3k HP with just 2 items. I know his passive, of course, he scales health per minion death, but still, like 3k HP with just 2 items, like means if he's just farming well, just to be one big tank late game, like man, this is ridiculous. Brainless champ that can kill you. This is equivalent to a Teemo, brainless champ that can kill you, like for real, like it's just doesn't take no skill to play, and it also is easy to feed him and easy to lose against him, you know what I'm saying, because his kit is just annoying to play against. So nearly unkillable when he's ahead too. So if he gets ahead, if he kills you, or if he gets a kill on somebody else, once he gets like his main item or something, like a Bammy Cinder, or you know, a Sunfire Cape, like it's nearly hard to even kill him, because you have to literally wait until your late game before you even be able to be really effective. Because tanks, of course, if tanks can get to their items before you, then there's nothing you can do to them. That's the best way I can say to that. But he has no mobility, predictable kit, dodgeable skills, and he actually has a weak early game, okay? So just take note of this, and you'll definitely be able to prevail against a Scion, alright? So these are the hard matchups. Now we will go in depth on the moderate matchups, okay? Moving on. Alright, we go with Irelia. Irelia is essentially a skill matchup, so it varies on how good the player is. One thing to take notice of, 5 passive stacks makes her a problem, which means you want to pay attention to how many passive stacks you see that she has before you engage on any trades with her. Her stun defines her winning fights. She's a better farmer, high outplay potential. Ultimate can define a fight if she hits with it. Medium snowballing, which means when I say medium snowballing, she essentially, if she does kill you, it's not like you can't beat her at all. You definitely have the potential to definitely come back from her. You know what I'm saying? There's been times where I've went against Nirelius, they've killed me, they've been able to outfarm me and such things. They definitely was able to win the lane, but once I got to my items, I was able to pretty much beat them late game. So that's why I say her snowball is medium, because it's pretty much equivalent to yours. So her snowball is gradual, it's not instant. You have the outplay potential. Let's look at the pluses of it. She has dodgeable skills. She's weak without her passive. Predictable kit, can be zoned. You have outplay potential. That's why I say, of course, if she was to get a kill on you, you definitely still have the outplay potential to turn a fight around. And both can be evenly matched. So pretty much it's a skill matchup. So either way, it can go either or, depending on how good you are on Camille and how good she is on Irelia, or how good they are on Irelia. I'm sorry. So yes, very, very skill-based matchup. Now Rivens, of course. Rivens is also a skilled matchup. It varies on how good the player is. But she definitely has extreme snowballing potential. So if it's a very good Riven, trust me, this can actually turn into a hard matchup if they are very good. Such as if you got like if you're going to get a one-trick Riven, somebody that mains Riven for maybe multiple seasons, or mains Riven for like I got like over 1,000 games in with her, this could very well be a hard matchup, because she can definitely be very good. She can definitely know her stuff. So what Riven has, raw crowd control, straight just knock up, stun, all that. She has damage migration with her shield. She has high outplay potential. She's a resourceless champion that puts you at a disadvantage. Great zoning and kiting. Dangerous all-in. And as I said, extreme snowballing potential. So if she kills you, trust me, it will be very hard to really outplay her, because she will definitely be able to run you down when she's ahead and keep her lead. Now, she has a predictable kit. She's weak without her Valor, because the cooldown of that is actually long, so you can take advantage of that. She has no sustain. You have outplay potential. Both can be evenly matched as well. So both can go really even depending on how good you guys are. So take note of this, and you'll be able to prevail against a Riven. Moving on to Aatrox though. This new Aatrox is a freaking pain in my... Oh my gosh, man. Strong early game, ridiculous sustain, lane bully, raw crowd control with his combo, resourceless champion, good zoning, medium snowballing. However, in a lot of cases though, Aatrox's does reach a pretty big spike if they are ahead. So if they are ahead, it will be very difficult to actually like kill them early game, but you do outscale him though. Late game, you definitely do outscale him, so don't be too upset if he does kill you or if he does get ahead, because he has a predictable kit, Dodgeable skills, you can punish him hard. If he misses his abilities, that's kind of the same with Riven as well, or Irelia as well. You can punish them very, very hard if they misplay or misuse their abilities. So you can definitely take advantage of that, and you can definitely get a lead off of them. They're vulnerable. He's vulnerable without his ultimate. You outscale him, and you have outplay potential. So take note of this stuff, and you'll be able to prevail against an Aatrox. So now Olaf. Olaf's. Love this champion. He was also my favorite top champ once. He was my favorite top lane once before Camille took over. But Olaf definitely can be a problem against you. He has a scary level 1 cheese with his axes. His passive, of course, too. The lower his health gets, the faster his attack speed gets. So very, very dangerous. You don't want to ever try to fight him 1v1 in a level 1 fight, because you will lose that majority of the time. Strong harass tool, of course. He has a strong harass in his axes. He will most likely be maxing those axes. He has a good duelist. He has true damage, just like you. Dangerous all-in. Heavy punisher. He will definitely punish you for being out of position, of course. And he has medium snowball. So even if he does get a kill on you, it's not like he can just completely snowball to where you can never kill him or anything, or he can just abuse his lead, because you can definitely come back from that. He can be zoned and kited. He's dodging his axes equals free engage. Trust me, when you dodge his axe, or when he misses it, you can definitely engage on him for free, because he can't lock you into a fight by slowing you constantly, especially if he catches up to his axes too. So if he throws his axe in this way off position, you can take smooth advantage of that and trade with him and be able to actually all in on him, especially. So he has no mobility. You could take smooth advantage of that, and you outscale him. And you outperform him in team fights. Yes, he does not do really well. He doesn't do well in team fights, except he can dive the carry, of course, with his ultimate, because he's immune to CC. But you can essentially trap him. You know, he can't get out of your ult still, so you can take smooth advantage of that. So take note of this, and you'll be able to prevail against an Olaf. So now moving on to Tryndamere. He's a strong duelist, resourceless champion. He's a better split pusher because he has crit. Of course, crit chances is by far, of course, the best reason why he's better at split pushing and being a good duelist. Heavy snowballing, so you want to be very careful, of course, if he does get a lead, or if he does kill you, he can abuse his lead as well. And Undying Rage, cannot die for literally, what was it, 6 seconds? Or somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, he cannot die for a number amount of seconds. So essentially, it kind of makes it hard for you to kind of all in on him, because if you trap him in your ult, he can't die. You can't kill him in your ult, so you have to be very mindful of how you use it, and especially when you engage on him if he's low on health. You know, you don't want to take too much damage from him, or you want to keep your trades very short, because you don't want to extend any trades with him, especially if he has his max fury. Never want to have extended trades with his max fury up. Trust me, that's a bad idea. But he can be zoned and kited, shares a weak early game just like you, vulnerable without his ultimate, only one engage ability, which is his spin, and you outperform him in team fights, because a lot of times Tryndameres will just be split pushing all the time, so you can take advantage of his split push and 5v4 their team, and of course be able to prevail for that way. So take note of this, and you'll be able to prevail against a Tryndamere. So moving on to a Wukong. Wukong tops are actually rare this season, but he can prove to be a problem, okay? Now, he has his point and click. I will say one thing. Point and click engages are a nightmare for Camille, such as Jax. He has Leap Strike that can just jump on you. Irelias, they have their Q that can just dash on you. But Irelias will never dash on you unless they hit with their stun. Or unless they have full passive or they hit with their stun. Trust me. You'll never see an Irelia just straight Q onto you without having their passive or without hitting with their stun. So anybody with a point and click engage, somebody that could just freely engage on you at any given time, they're always going to be somebody that's a problem for Camille, because Camille can't engage on somebody unless she does her hook shot. You know what I'm saying? So somebody could just jump on you at any given time, especially when you're just trying to farm. Jax just jumps on you, starts trying to fight you. I'm like, dude, like, leave me alone, man. Can I just farm? Like, God, man. So yeah, anybody like that can be a problem for you. But you also want to take advantage of when they do jump on you, they have no escape. They use their escaping ability to engage on you, just like how you would use your escape ability to engage on somebody. So, you know what I'm saying? Take advantage of that, and take advantage of being able to trade back with them, because once they engage on you, they either going to commit to it, or they're going to try and back away after engaging in a short trade. So you want to take smooth advantage of that as well when it's on cooldown. Decoy, is definitely has high outplay potential of you, because he's going to most likely, when it comes to Wukongs, they're going to trade, they're going to jump in on you, they're going to try and trade, and then they're going to decoy away for a safe return. So that's what makes it hard to really engage on him, because if he has that up, then most likely you'll find yourself hitting the decoy a lot, and he'll be able to pretty much outplay your engage. He can counter your whole engage, and especially if you ult his decoy too, you're gonna look really you're gonna really look up. You're gonna really be tilted on that. So be very mindful of the decoy. His all-in can 100 you. That is if you're not in your late game prime though. If he does reach his item spike first, he definitely can. He definitely can abuse his lead against you. And of course his knock-up ultimate, so that's very tough. When you ult him, he can knock you up, such things, and you know, it can be very problematic in the lane. So then moving on to, though, you do outscale him though, so just be sure he doesn't get a lead on you. Mediocre early game, you can snowball against him, and he's vulnerable without decoy. So take note of this stuff, and you'll be able to prevail against any Wukongs up top. Moving on to Kled. Scarl saves will tilt you. Trust me, they will tilt you. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to add that he's also a resourceless champion. Annoying Q harass, like he can definitely, that bear trap on a rope, he can just harass you with that so many times. You're just trying to farm, and then he just freely use that. But you can also counteract that with your passive shield. So be very mindful. I forgot to talk about that as well. Be very mindful when I do discuss these matchup difficulties and such. You want to be very mindful of when it comes to trading with these guys. Be very, very mindful of your usage of your passive, okay? Because your passive can definitely, like I said, that shows that's part of your outplay potential. You know, passive, being able to migrate a lot of the damage, because only a few of these matchups have damage migration. You know, unlike you. They don't. Some of these matchups have shields, like Riven or some things. But for the most part, you can definitely counteract a lot of these people with your kit. Not like they directly counter you or anything. Kled's all-in is pretty dangerous. You want to be very careful of that. He's a great skirmisher. He's very, very great for team fighting as well. And he has a medium snowball. Medium snowballing, which means you can come back. Even if he kills you, you can come back from it. You know, because he's weak without Scarl. Little mobility, aggressive play is rewarded. And you want to be aggressive against a Kled. You don't want to allow a Kled to be aggressive against you. You can punish him hard. He has a predictable kit, and you outscale him. So take note of this, and you'll be able to prevail against a Kled. Moving on to Kennons. Kennon tops are pretty common. He's an energy champ, annoying poke, dangerous all-in, mobile with crowd control, medium snowballing, which means you can come back. Even if he does kill you once or gets ahead in some way, you can come back from it. He shares a weak early game. He can be zoned. Tenacity works wonders because his stun procs are very quick and they're very often, especially if he ults you. So that's what makes it hard, makes it kind of tough when it comes to facing a Kennen, because if you do ult him, he will ult and he will actually keep you stunned. He will stun lock you in your ult to where you won't be able to do much of anything. So you want to be very careful in how you deal with him. He's vulnerable. I'm sorry, I forgot to add. He's vulnerable to poke as well. So take note of this stuff. You do outscale him. So take note of this stuff, and you'll be able to prevail against a Kennen. Moving on to rises. Riot just won't stop changing him, man. Like, didn't they just go through another patch and they just changed him or reworked him or something? Like, oh my gosh, why are they changing him? What is so great about this champion? Why is he getting so many changes? I don't understand it. It's so annoying. Like, just leave him alone, man. Gosh. Varies on how good the player is, so he can be very, very problematic, or he can be pretty simple. You know what I'm saying? Annoying poke and annoying zone combo is insane. His combo, it seems like players love the face roll on their keyboard when they play this champ, because they're just literally just spamming Q, E, Q, W, Q, E, D. I'm like, come on, man, just chillax. It's just a game, bro. Relax. And he has heavy snowball potential, which means a rise that's fed can be very, very problematic to you, you know, especially in the early stages or early game. But your ultimate is greater than his. You can trap him. If he tries to ult away, he can't escape for sure. Vulnerable to poke, vulnerable to all-ins, and you outperform him in team fights. Trust me, because he's only able to lock down one person. Except your team fighting is much better than his for sure. So just take note of this stuff, and you'll be able to prevail against Arise. Now moving on to Singe. Singe can be problematic if you really don't know how to deal with him. Okay. How about a proxy? Which of course Singe will love to proxy your lane. I don't like Singe because it seems like they just love playing like an idiot in the early game, but their idiot playstyle is just how they're supposed to play. Proxy your lane, makes it freeze, pretty much proxy your whole lane, and then just commit suicide under the tower and still be able to get their items and stuff and be able to just run you down when you're out of position or when they catch you. So he has a great sustain, can't be chased, can fling you out of all, heavy punisher, so positioning is very key with him. Has to be close to you to do anything for real. So if he's close to you, that should have been on the plus side, honestly. But it can be on the downside too, because if you're trying to farm, he could just run around and just hit you with his poison and all that, and then fling you and such things. So it can be very annoying if you're trying to focus on farming, or if you're trying to focus on pushing the lane. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Though he's easy to kite in zone, like I said, he has to be close to you to do anything. So you can keep him at a distance. He plays recklessly early game. A lot of Singe will play recklessly, so you can take smooth advantage of that. And he can't kill you unless you misplay. So literally, he can't kill you unless you're out of position or unless you just misuse your ability. So if you use your abilities right, he can almost never kill you. Most of the time, you'll probably just be farming the whole time. So take note of this stuff, and you'll be able to prevail against a Singe. Moving on to Urgot. Infinite purge, like for what? Why on earth would they change this and make this infinite? Like that's just ridiculous. He's a lane bully, he has an execute ultimate, and he's a strong pusher. But on the plus side though, no mobility, easy to kite, dodgeable skills, you can snowball against them, and he can be punished hard for misusing an ability. So take note of this stuff, and you'll be able to prevail against an Urgot. Vladimir's tops are, I'll tell you one thing, they're very, very annoying, except they're not really that hard to play against though. Because one thing you want to take notice of is his blood pool counters your hookshot engage and your ultimate, so you never want to engage on him when he has his blood pool up. He has sustain, resourceless champion, heavy snowballing. When he's ahead, he can be a problem. And his late game is very monstrous in terms of team fighting as well. So you want to be very, very careful of that. His late game, though, is very troublesome. But he has a weak early game, vulnerable to poke, vulnerable to without his blood pool. So once his blood pool is down, take full advantage of that. Okay? Executioner's Calling works wonders against him, and he's a poor farmer. So just like you, your early game is kind of as weak as his, but it's just a matter of who gets ahead first, you know, or who does better in the lane. So take note of this, and you will be able to prevail against a Vladimir. Now, moving on to the easy matchups. These are the matchups that you should win, and you should have absolutely no problem with, okay? Garens. Garens are fun to play against. He can be zoned and easy to kite. You outscale him, you outperform him in team fights. While he is the lane bully, you can still match him in the lane. So literally, Garens are like easy mode, unless you just completely screw up. Trust me, you should not ever lose against a Garen. There's been a couple times I lost against a Garen for misplaying. That's the only time he can really be able to beat you, if you misplay, misuse your abilities, or even if he has a lot of jungle ganks or something. But you will definitely be able to outscale him in the late game and be able to just destroy him in lane. make people not want to play him no more because he's such a useless champion, right? So yes, take note of this stuff, and you should always be able to prevail against a Garen. I'm sorry. Moving on to Kale. Your early game is much better than hers. Kale's early game is weaker than yours, so you got to take smooth advantage of that. She is easy to zone, is no real threat until late game. So you just have to take smooth advantage of her weak early game and snowball against her, and then you will be able to just destroy her at all times. You know, even if she gets to her late game, you're already in your late game prime, so you will definitely be able. It'll be a cakewalk for you. So just take note of this, and you'll be able to always prevail against a Kale. Now moving on to Echo. Echo tops are rare, but they're not extinct. So Echo tops though, you outscale him. He has a weak early game. You can snowball easily. and completely vulnerable without ult. Mind you, your kit also is very good against his as well, so take note of this stuff, and Echoes will be a cakewalk for you. Now moving on to Quins. Now this can be easy if you really know what you're doing, but if you don't know what you're doing, it can go from moderate and it can actually go from hard as well. But in terms of it being easy, you outscale her. You can snowball easily. If she vaults on you, you have a clear engage on her. So anytime you see her vaulting on you, immediately hook shot on her, and boom, you'll be able to just win that trade all right off the bat. We'll roam at level 6, which will give you free farm. A lot of Quins will always keep roaming, and they will try to get their lead off they'll try to get their lead off other lanes, but this will give you the opportunity to free farm. So like I said, you do outscale her and you outperform her in team fights. So even if she does roam around all the time, by late game, you should just be able to just eliminate her without no problem. So take note of this stuff and you will be able to prevail against a Quinn without a problem. Now Silas. Silas, before, he was a problem. He definitely was pretty difficult in the lane, but he was moderate, I will say. And, but the recent nerfs have severely weakened his lane, so he now is easy to play against. You outscale him, you can snowball easily, you can still ult if he has yours, and he's easy to engage on. I think they removed his the shield from his E, from his little dash. What's that? Obstruct or obscure, whatever it's called. They took the shield that he gets right off the bat, the first cast. He has to get I think he has to hit his second part of it for him to gain a shield. So literally, like, that just destroys his literally destroys his early lead that he would have in the lane, because him having the shield just by dashing and engaging on you, but now he has to actually land his ability for him to gain his shield. I think that's the case. You can correct me if I'm wrong on it. I haven't played against a Silas top in the wild since his nerf, so literally I know that the reason why he hasn't been played up top anymore is because of the nerf, so he's really easy. So literally, take note of this stuff and you'll definitely be able to prevail against a Silas without a problem. Now, Gnar tops are very rare to play against, except they are pretty easy though. You outscale him, your mobility counters Mega Gnar, vulnerable to all ins as Mini Gnar, and a resourceless champion but has no sustain as well, so he's vulnerable to pokes and vulnerable to all ins. You want to take advantage of his positioning, as well as when he's Mini Gnar, you should all in him if he's way too far pushed up, because you know you can definitely just keep him trapped in. And of course, by late game, you will always be able to destroy him in a fight. So take note of this stuff, and you'll definitely be able to prevail against a Gnar in lane. Okay? Moving on to Alawis. Now, Alawis can be problematic if you don't know what you're doing. It could be moderate and maybe even hard for you, but for me, Alawis are very simple to go against. Despite her being a very big pusher and have very strong wave clearing, she has no mobility, which makes it easy to zone and kite her. Abilities and tentacles are easy to dodge, can completely dodge her ult with yours. So well timed. The moment you see her about the ult, once you ult, it completely counters her. She won't be able to spawn hardly any tentacles and stuff, so you will definitely be able to just destroy her by doing that. Take note of this stuff and you will definitely be able to dominate against an Alawi without a problem. Now, Yasuo tops. Your kit excels against his. This also defines whether how good the player is with Yasuo. I will say that. But naturally, though, Camille should always be able to defeat a Yasuo in top lane. Okay, your kit excels against his. You have greater outplay potential. You can snowball hard against them. Trust me, it's either or. If he gets ahead, he can snowball against you. If you get ahead, you can snowball against him. You have great harassing tools against them, and I mean, you'll most likely make a Yasuo player angry when they lose, because Yasuo players love being very upset when they lose, or love being on tilt too. So you could possibly be tilting Yasuo players when you destroy them that bad. You've seen me destroy a lot of Yasuos and stuff in my more recent streams, and some of the videos that some of my highlights and stuff are going against a Yasuo up top. So, like I said, take note of this stuff, and you'll definitely be able to prevail against a Yasuo without a problem. Moving on to Yorick. Despite being a strong pusher and a laner, you still outscale him, okay? With no ghouls, he is weak, so take advantage of when he has no ghouls, because that really because his damage will definitely be at a minimum without them. You can hook shot off his wall, if you don't know that, because his wall counts as a terrain. You can snowball hard against him, so if you get a lead or if you kill him, you can snowball him. If he does kill you,
he can be a problem, but not so much to where you can't beat him. I'll tell you that. But you don't want to give him any free kills, trust me. You don't want to make it hard for yourself. And he has no mobility, so you definitely know what that means. So definitely take note of this stuff, and you'll definitely be able to dominate against a Yorick without a problem. So, Rumbles though, you do outscale him. Despite having strong harassing tools, he is vulnerable to all-ins, and he's also vulnerable to pokes. I forgot to mention that. You can take smooth advantage of his overheat. So take smooth advantage of how often he uses his abilities and how close he is to being overheat. You don't want to engage on him if he uses his flame spitter while he's overheat, because that does deal a crap ton of damage. But you definitely want to be very mindful of your passive though, of when your passive is up, and you want to be very mindful of how often it triggers, because of course the moment he tries to engage on you with his flame spitter, if your passive is up, you can definitely minimize a lot of his damage, and you'll definitely be able to win trades with that. So take note of this stuff, and you'll definitely be able to prevail against a Rumble for sure. Now, Nasus. I did say this matchup is easy in the lane, but it's Nasus, guys. You know how it is. He is born as Suzanne, whatever. Born as Suzanne, and grows right into Nasus, because this lane can go from easy to moderate to hard as the game progresses, because it all bases on how well he farms his Q stacks. Trust me. There will be a lot of times where you will think that you're winning the lane. Of course, you have him beat, you have him pushed up to his tower, you know you're winning in CS. But of course, that can turn right around late game if he has, say, over 400, maybe 500 stacks on his Q, and then yeah, he could definitely probably 1v1 you at any given time. So you can freely harass him though in the early game, because he's very, very weak. He's very, very weak in the early game, but he will most likely be passive until he's farmed enough Q stacks. So a lot of Nasus players will expect to be pushed up to their tower and will expect to be harassed a lot. That way they could just safely farm at their tower, and of course once they get in a certain amount of Q stacks, then that's when they'll try to be very aggressive against you. So, and it also depends on your positioning as well. If you're way too pushed up and he has well enough Q stacks on you, if you don't have a good enough defense on you, or if you're not way too ahead to where you're able to actually stand a chance against him in the early stages, he will run you down without a problem, and he will definitely snowball against you. So you want to be very careful of that. So he also will always outscale you if he farms well. So just don't think that just because you're ahead that you will always be able to beat a Nasus. Like, as the game progresses, if you actually really keep your lead and keep him way behind as possible, then you'll be able to, of course, beat him. But if he's even, or if you're just sitting there farming the lane, or if they're both just farming, trust me, by late game, you will almost never be able to 1v1 him, even at full build, because Wither is one of the biggest reasons why you cannot fight him. His Wither and his ult, and most likely it also depends on what he's building. If he's building Triforce, you know it's going to be a problem as well. If he's also building Iceborne Gauntlet. Iceborne Gauntlet can keep you locked into a fight with him, because the constant slow of his Wither and the constant slow from that makes it hard to even get away from him. And a lot of Nasus will run Ghost and Flash, so they will just run you down completely and you'll have no escape. So you got to be very careful on that. You are better on team fights though, I will say that, in terms of what you can deliver. So take note of this stuff, and hopefully you'll be able to prevail against a Nasus. Just hopefully, trust me. It's not going to be easy. It depends on the player, but just take note of stuff like this and you'll be able to prevail against them, okay? Oh my gosh, guys, we have gotten through all the matchup lists. Gosh, I know it took a while. But man, I know y'all been waiting for me to come through with the episode 2. I'm glad I was able to finish this episode up for y'all. I'm hoping that I was able to explain a lot of things and give y'all a lot more details about Camille, and especially help you all as far as matchups and as far as item builds and mechanics as well. So thank you for staying. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sorry for the wait. I hope this makes up for it. Trust me, I will return for the next episode. I will say The next episode will probably be the last one, or it might be, I might do some demonstrations. You know what I'm saying? Some demonstrations on how to properly play against somebody, you know, or how to properly play against certain matchups, you know. Or for the next episode, you can actually ask me who you would like to see some videos of me against, and I will actually show you a more in-depth or actual a more in-depth explanation on how to properly play against certain people, you know, how to properly trade with them, how to make use of your passive, how to make use of your abilities in terms of actual fights and such things, and you know what I'm saying, and how to properly play in team fights and such things like that. So if you have any recommendations for who you would like to see in my next episode, or who you would like to see me demonstrate against, feel free to leave a comment below, or feel free to hit me up, you know, send me a message. You can add me on Twitch. You can you can follow me on Twitch, subscribe to my Twitch channel. I would love that. You can also add me on League at Steph J Millz. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, okay? So thank y'all for tuning in. I'm hoping to see y'all once again. I hope y'all tune into the stream. I will be on. Trust me, be sure to check the schedule of when I'll be on, all right? So thank y'all again for tuning in. Take care of yourselves, and see y'all soon, man. See y'all on the Rift.